Hello and welcome back. I'm trying to do a broadcast again from the Assassin's Creed Syndicate game, and yeah, I've had difficulties with my PlayStation 4 hardware and so on and so forth. But we're giving it a try again for this video, and I just thought we'd do, short 2 to 5 minute video on scriptural things instead of doing the long Sunday school lessons. At least as a start to be able to do it, and I thought I'd go about and answer some questions. So there was, a while back, I came across this 50 questions to ask a Mormon, or that Mormons can't answer, or things like that, and I did an entire video basically answering all 50 questions. Came out as kind of a mess, truth be told. I forgot it only records for an hour, so, and I recorded for about an hour and a half, so the first half hour was completely gone from the video. And I did a second video which would had the, answering the questions that weren't answered in the previous one, and just threw it up there. So this will be just one question per turn. And I will be... It's actually kind of a temptation to answer more than one question at a time, because a lot of these questions have the same answer, or they repeat. The questions themselves repeat. So, but I'm going to try to do one question at a time. We're starting at the beginning with this one while we sightsee with Evie in London. So we can go with this shot right above the engine. That's a good one. Or as the engine's going, we have a lot of options here that I never really exercised when I did this before, because I didn't realize there were so many options. I think, we click back to Evie here. I think I will go with this one here. So, let's get down into the question. So the first question is this, that Mormons are not supposed to be able to answer. It says, why does the Mormon Church still teach that Joseph Smith was a true prophet of God after he made a false prophecy about a temple being built in Missouri in his generation? Doctrine and Covenants 84, 1-5. So, I think to answer this question, I have to first read that section. This is actually readily available. I'm sure you could actually just look it up on Bing or Google or whatever search engine you use, and you could probably find this. If not, it's for sale. It's available to everyone. So let me just read this. This is section 84 of the Doctrine and Covenants, starting with verse 1. A revelation of Jesus Christ unto his servant Joseph Smith Jr. and 6 elders, as they united their hearts and lifted their voices on high. Yea, the word of the Lord concerning his church, established in the last days for the restoration of his people, as he has spoken by the mouth of his prophets, and for the gathering of his saints to stand upon Mount Zion, which shall be the city of New Jerusalem. Which city shall be built, beginning at the temple lot, which is appointed by the finger of the Lord in the western boundary of the state of Missouri, and dedicated by the hand of Joseph Smith Jr. and others with whom the Lord was well pleased. Verily, this is the word of the Lord, that the city New Jerusalem shall be built by the gathering of the saints, beginning at this place, even the place of the temple, which temple shall be reared in this generation. For verily this generation shall not all pass away, until an house shall be built unto the Lord, and a cloud shall rest upon it, which cloud shall be even the glory of the Lord, which shall fill the house. So that's the full prophecy, or I should say prophecies, because there's more than one in there. And one of the things, if you've studied the Old Testament or New Testament and read about prophecies, is that they tend to be fairly complex and not always fulfilled the way you expect them to be. And the main reason for that is that humans, don't always see things the same way the Lord sees things. So when prophecies are fulfilled, they're not done the exact same way he said. And like I said, there are numerous prophecies in it. So we'll kind of break it down, starting with verse 2. It's this is the word, and he speaks of, in verse 2, Mount Zion, which shall be the city of New Jerusalem. Now, the third one is where we start the prophecies. Which city shall be built, beginning at the temple lot. So, the prophecy is the city will be built. Which is appointed by the Lord in the western boundaries of the state of Missouri. So, that's the location in Missouri. And dedicated by the hand of Joseph Smith Jr. and others with whom the Lord was well pleased. So, the city did start to be built. That was fulfilled. The city did start to be built. The temple ground started with temple grounds and was dedicated by Joseph Smith Jr. That all happened. So verily, this is the word of the Lord, that the city, New Jerusalem, shall be built by the gathering of the saints, beginning at this place, even the place of the temple, which temple shall be reared in this generation. So it'll start with the temple, and the temple will be reared. It does not actually say the temple will be built, that this particular temple will be reared or started at this point and at this place. And then it says, for verily this generation shall not all pass away until an house shall be built unto the Lord, and a cloud shall rest upon it, which cloud shall be even the glory of the Lord, which shall fill the house. That's actually a separate prophecy, if you read it carefully. It's basically saying a temple will be built within this generation. It doesn't specifically state that the temple will be the one that they dedicated here. And this is an important distinction. And, within that generation, say about 20 years for generations, generally about 25 nowadays, but 20 years, the temple was built in Nauvoo, Illinois, and then later in Salt Lake City, Utah. So that prophecy, verse 5, that prophecy was fulfilled. The temple was built, and it was built at this time and at this place. But also in verses 3 and 4, those prophecies were true. The gathering began there. The building of the city began at the temple lot, and it wasn't fully built or developed before they were driven out of the area. But it was started there. That's where the church started. So the prophecies listed were actually fulfilled, but not in the way that I'm sure the saints expected. I think the saints did expect, as I think the casual reader would expect, that the temple should have been built there. But it wasn't, and the promise was that a temple would be built within this generation, based upon... this isn't a dependent prophecy. Certain prophecies are dependent, meaning that people have to do a certain thing, otherwise a prophecy will be fulfilled. I think the best example of this was, my brain just went dead on the name. Jonah. I could only think of the guy in the whale. Jonah prophesied that the city they went to prophesy, he prophesied that it would be destroyed unless people repented. Well, the people repented and the city wasn't destroyed, at least not at that time. So, there are dependent prophecies where if you do this or don't do this, this will happen. In this case, it's not a dependent prophecy. It basically said, this is where it will be built, this is where everything will start. Then said, there will be a temple built in this generation. And I think, in terms of comfort, I think this was a great comfort to the saints at the time, because after they were driven out, they looked back and said, we don't have a temple yet, we don't have that built, but one will be built. And it's of interest to note that when the saints had to flee Illinois, Nauvoo, that they one of the last things that most of them did was to go to the temple to do, the ordinances, I can't think of the word, but to participate in temple ordinances. That's what all of them wanted to do that before they fled the state and eventually fled basically out of the United States into Utah, to the point where, they tried to Church Brigham Young had ordered that, it will be shut down and people will move on, but so many people wanted to do it that he actually rescinded that order and said, we will keep doing it for as long as we can. And so I think it was of great comfort that this prophecy itself was a great comfort that there would be a temple in this generation, as long as, and I think it's implied that the righteousness of the saints would dictate that, as with a lot of the Lord's prophecies, and the saints, despite all the persecutions, did what they could to be righteous, and were blessed with having more than one temple in their generation. And now, throughout the world, we have, I think, close to 200 temples now throughout the world. I think more, maybe. I don't even remember the exact number, but this was a prophecy. I'm going to come straight out. This prophecy was fulfilled. It just wasn't fulfilled the way I think the people who, when they first heard it, expected it to be fulfilled. And I think a lot of people, modern people, look, do a casual reading of it and don't realize that it's not saying what they think it's saying. So anyway, I feel like I've nattered on about this topic for a while. So yes, that is the first question out of the way. We will move on to the second question in a later video. I'm hoping that this will work out okay, and I won't have any future problems, or at least I'll be able to upload 2 or 3 of these before everything goes kaputski. Anyway, let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you like it. Let me know if you're as happy to see Evie in Victorian London as I am, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.